is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Let's go, baby!
Are you ready for a break?
Yes.
Are you ready for a break?
Absolutely.
Ready for a break?
Yeah, and so much for that.
It's time for The Break on DallasCowboys.com.
We were on the break!
With Nick Eatman, David Hellman, Ambar Garcia, and Derek Eagleton.
It is Friday, July 30th, 2021, Season 17, Episode number 5. It is day 9 of training camp here on The Break. We've got Dave Hellman, we've got Nick Eatman, and we've got our buddy, Bryan Broaddus, man. When you first mentioned on Twitter that you might be around and offered very graciously to come and join us, I was really excited because I haven't been able to be on air with you in a long time. And you're obviously no stranger to our show and all these guys. We've done this for many, many years.
We have.
So good to have you, man.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I've been just a couple of tenths down from you guys, but still admiring the work and all that. You guys do a heck of a job, and it was a different avenue for me to go, but it's nice to see you guys continuing to just push on the way you do and lead the NFL the way you do.
Yeah, it's funny because you guys that don't know Bryan, like literally he got out here and by day 2 of practice, you're sending me practice notes like, here's some things you can watch. I'm like, Bryan does not change. He always looking out for his teammates, man.
Yeah,
always looking out for his teammates.
I appreciate that. I was very sad that this is my last day, with the station, and you're so used, you get into that routine where you're like, okay, this is, day 4, day 5. You get in that routine.
Last day here.
Yeah, last day for me here.
Yeah, the way he said that was, he said my last day with the station.
I was like,
no, breaking news. But but last day.
Does Gavin know?
Yeah, last day with it, and that part of it's going to be sad for me because, again, and this is where I'm going to have to lean on you guys because you do such a great job of covering the team the way you do. It's a standard that's like on no other. But, yeah, when you get in that rhythm of practice and interviews and talking to people and, hey, wait, something happened. Got to get this source over here. And, you're kind of, doing all that. That's the great thing about camp. And just to kind of now have to walk away from that with it not being over is just like, it's super sad for me because it's been such a part of our lives now. And but
Bryan's maybe one of like 4 people who says that and actually means it too. Like most, like we all love what we do, but by the time you've been here for a week, 2 weeks, you're like, yeah, going home sounds kind of nice. And Bryan's like, absolutely not. What are these defensive tackles doing?
Well, that's
Can I get some more film? Give me more film.
Yeah, that's the thing. But I know I'm dealing with some veterans, guys that have been here the whole time, the 15 years of camp in Oxnard and stuff like that. I mean, it's something that you just get so used to, conditioned to, and when they're out there practicing. I mean, that's the part of it. I mean, even standing in the trench out there, where we're not on the field, but you still get all that you see the players, you hear the sounds, the coaching. I mean, saddling up, going around the other end and watching Dan Quinn coach them up a little bit, one-on-one with Randy Gregory and stuff. That's the kind of stuff that helps you, kind of have a better understanding of how the season could probably play out.
Yep, and you don't realize how much you really need that until you have a year like last year when you don't have it.
Yeah.
Amen to that.
And you can really feel the difference. Let's jump into the conversation. Over the last couple days, the news has really revolved around Dak Prescott. He left practice, I guess that was on Wednesday. What's the status? What do we know about his injury at this point, and when can fans expect to maybe see him back?
Well, Mike McCarthy was shockingly willing to talk about when he might come back yesterday. His shoulder's sore. He's out of an abundance of caution. He's not pushing it. He got an MRI in the area Wednesday afternoon. Doesn't look like there's any serious problems there. It's a muscle strain. But like rightfully so, people are like, well, that could mean a lot of things. He could be out for a few weeks. He could, maybe we've seen the last of him for training camp. And then McCarthy gets up there yesterday and he's like, yeah, he'll, he probably won't throw for a couple days. And we were even like, what's a couple days mean? And he was like, well, where I come from, a couple means like 2 days. What are you talking about? I was like, okay, Mike, like you're putting your name on it. That's fine. Like I was kind of surprised that he did that just because coaches tend to want to not nail themselves down with a specific time frame.
Jason Garrett.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. 10 years of that.
Yeah, right.
I was funny. I was talking to the question was posed about, was this something that had to do with maybe the injury of the ankle and him having to change his mechanics? And I went into it with somebody about it. I'm like, listen, he was like, no, man. He goes, we threw all spring, we threw all summer. It was just a ton of balls. I mean, he was chomping at the bit to get out there. He had, my guy was saying, hey, McCarthy was out there, Nussmeier was out there, Kellen was out there, his own personal guy. This sounds like to me a guy that just, and we all know Dak. Mm-hmm. Dak is not going to want to sit back and just, I'm going to rehab and he'll be okay. No, he is going to push it to the absolute hilt. And when he could go out there and throw balls, whether it's in the backyard that he's got or on the field, he's gonna do that. And I think what happened is that he just really in the ramp up, he went probably a little too far for himself, and now they're kind of having to work their way back through that.
Go ahead, Dave.
Oh, I mean, yeah. Which to that point, a lot of people have suggested that it's mechanical, but. Yeah. All through the spring, he was basically, I mean, he didn't do team, but he was throwing a boatload of footballs.
Sure was.
Yeah, like, he gets out at the house with the receivers and backs, like, every day. Like, God knows how many balls they're throwing. Like, I just have a hard time believing, like, if there was a mechanical issue, it would have cropped up before he got to training.
Yeah, I kind of feel like, though, that if it was something serious, they probably wouldn't allow him to do the drills he's doing, because what if he just hauls off and just forgets and throws and throws something and then hurts it even worse. So the fact that he's out there doing a little bit of the movement drills and things like that, I think that they have confidence that things will be okay.
Yeah, the natural question that comes after that, after you get past is he going to be okay, is, well, what do the backups look like? Nick, what have you seen from Garrett Gilbert and Ben DiNucci here over these last couple of days that either make you feel good or make you feel not so good?
Well, I'm checking that shoulder for Dak is what I'm doing. I want to see how that shoulder is.
You're watching the rehab over here, right?
Let's be fair to we've seen quarterbacks out here that haven't had great practices. Romo, we know what happened with him.
Dak Prescott.
Dak Prescott's another one.
We knew that.
Yeah. The thing about Garrett Gilbert that everybody got excited about a little bit was that, he was functional against Pittsburgh. He'd only been here a few weeks. He was functional. He picked it up. He ran the ball well. He got him in 2 minutes. He was thrown into the end zone to win the game against an undefeated team. It didn't happen. So in a year and a half, is he going to be better? And he probably will. And let's see what happens in games. He's going to get a great shot. I think it's a silver lining. I mean, Dak is going to be your guy. You don't know about the backup, and they're going to get more. They're going to get real reps because they're going to get some first team reps. And see what it's like to run the ball with, if Zeke runs with them or whatever. So, to answer your question, they haven't looked great, but I think that let's see what happens when the lights come on and they go out. Cooper Rush never looked great. He goes to Hawaii. He went out and he had a couple of good drives, and we're like, okay, he's the backup. So It's not going to take much to say I think he'll be fine.
Yeah, I thought. To me, what was interesting about that whole thing is all of a sudden it was a perfect situation for Mike McCarthy and the staff. If you think about Dak, okay, here we are in the middle of a practice, and all of a sudden, like, QB1 goes down. You're the guy. All of a sudden it's like, whoa, okay. Yeah. Now, and I initially thought that maybe McCarthy was, he's talked about, well, I've got to manage these reps for these guys. I got to make sure the backups get some reps. I thought he was playing a game where he was going to give these guys some work. But then Dak is running towards the 10 as David Hellman's reporting, and I'm like, oh, no, this is not good.
It's not really reporting. It's just that's what's happening in front of me.
But that's
right now.
The first time I saw it. So then now I'm thinking, okay, something's up. But you're kind of like, well, man, what a good situation for Gilbert and these guys to throw them in with the ones and see. I'm sure the heart rate was going and all that. So you really can't judge them on that. But then the second day when you knew that Dak was out, now you can evaluate, and it's like, okay, are they getting anything? Are they making throws? Are they making these checks? See, that's where the real evaluation. Yeah, you can get an evaluation about he got thrown into a terrible situation and how did you respond? And then the next day it's like, well, he had chance. He knew this one, and if they fail in the chance where they knew, that's where I think you have a little concern.
Garrett Gilbert's been getting thrown into tough situations since he was like 18 years old. When you think about it.
No doubt. Yeah.
Was he Bank of America yesterday?
Yeah,
Wow.
I think
you
so.
Think he threw 3
Hadn't heard
touchdowns
that in a while.
Yeah, he was. Yeah,
He threw 3 touchdowns. You thought he was bad? I mean, I'm not saying he was great.
I did not see the ball going down the field. I didn't see.
Forgot about Bank of America.
I did.
I immediately knew what he was talking
I
about.
know,
which
I
is
hadn't heard
scary.
it in a while.
Which is scary.
Bank,
But
Bank of America is a sponsor, and they are great at what they do. But in a football reference, it's not the best.
yeah,
Right. Let's just put that out there.
Yeah.
BOA, okay?
But to me,
I didn't
When it
mean
comes to
I didn't
Bank,
mean to take
tweeted
us off the
Dave-
rails.
That was a moment where we just thought we were just talking without the cameras and without all the microphones
but
and everything.
I, you know what? I kind of felt like, though, to me, I was let's take some shots down the field. Let's do some of that. I was thinking
They were not doing that
That's
yesterday.
what I'm saying. It was, but there were some problems with the offensive line, and it wasn't like with Steele and Knight, the guys you usually want to blame, and Sicky, those guys. It wasn't those guys. Collins had his issues. Broaddus had his issues. I mean, Connor Williams had his issue. I mean, defensive line played on the offensive side of the ball yesterday, and some of those quarterbacks really didn't have much of a choice. And give the guys in the secondary. I think that's funny, guys. The non-padded practices, the offense was, there was 2-minute drill, red zone, whatever, boom, 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 down the field, no problem. We get in the pads, and I think the defense has won the last 3 days in pads, and that to me has been really probably very encouraging.
Yeah, and it's really encouraging for them as well because they need that confidence.
Yeah.
I think trying to build confidence for this defense makes a difference. Talking about the 2 padded practices, I want to give everybody an opportunity. We're going to go down the row here, and I want each of you to give me at least one observation from what you've seen in the first 2 days of padded practice. Let's start with you, Dave.
I mean, it's so easy to evaluate the passing game and the skill players, and there's no way of knowing how it's going to translate, but they've intercepted 8 passes in the last 2 days. Yeah. 8. That's a lot. I mean,
2 practices.
That's a lot by any standard, but especially this team. Nobody on this team gets picks or didn't, and now they all Maurice Kennedy, DeMonte Casey, Anthony Brown's had 1 or 2.
Parsons even.
Micah Parsons is that. Yeah, so just it's one thing to be in position and break on the ball, but to actually make the play has been missing from this defense for so long.
Since before you worked here.
I'm not trying to pick on Xavier Woods. He was from where he was drafted. That's a success story. He was a good player for being a 6th-round pick. But I just think of him being in position, getting his hands on the ball, and then it's clattering around, and next thing you know, it's on the ground, and he's doing push-ups. I'm like, yeah, well, just
clapping,
make the
clap,
catch.
yeah, the clap.
Make the catch, and they have been. They've been making the catch out here.
Nick,
I'll take the easy one. I mean, Brian's got. I know Brian can go 5th level, so I'm gonna let Brian get a tougher one. I'm gonna take the easy one. CeeDee Lamb is the best player on the field by far. It's not even close, and he is as smooth as anybody can be in their second year. The first to second year jump, he is. You can't cover him on the inside, outside. I mean, I haven't seen them really going deep. They haven't done that. Maybe that's something about the backups and all that.
Yeah.
But I think every ball is his. He's coming down with it, maybe inbounds, maybe outbounds. He's making outstanding plays. I just think that he is the best receiver on the team right now. I think he's having the best camp of any player out here.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I would. I like what you're saying, though. I think the best player I've seen has been Tyron Smith. Myself, just watching how he's been.
People want to hear that too.
Yeah, exactly. and hopefully the health and all that takes care of itself. I said it earlier. I'm looking to see who is going to be the backup defensive ends on this team. I was really worried coming in about Dorrance Armstrong. Basham was a guy in OTAs, but then you say OTAs. I mean, are we really getting – but Basham was showing some quickness, some explosiveness. I was looking for the rotation of the defensive tackles. I've seen some stuff from Odighizuwa that is really kind of okay, this is good. I like what I've seen. Bohanna, the young guys – they're playing, I said this earlier, they're playing on the offensive side of the line of scrimmage. That's what last year, if you look at what happened with the Cowboys and the terrible run defense, running back contact was 1.5 yards beyond the line of scrimmage. What?
Yep.
Okay, that's got to stop. And there's been some times, I know the one run they had coming off the goal line yesterday was Zeke and a nice run. But for the most part, the quick, elusive Zeke is trying to find spots, and again, it's against the first offensive line. So as long as that front 7, Van Der Esch, and on our show, I get on Smith a ton. You know, I'm thinking,
Yeah,
you got to get him off the field and all that. The linebackers, I think, the front seven, I think, has played very, very well, and you know, and that to me has been encouraging. I'm interested to see what happens with Hooker at safety, though. Does that give them the true free? Because Wilson will come down and knock you sideways. He did it on the field yesterday. So if they could kind of figure that out, but I've been kind of impressed with that front seven on defense.
I mean, that was pretty fun. Like, yesterday's practice wasn't that fun. It got, Lamb had a nice catch toward the end, but they were like a lot of runs, a lot of dinking and dunking because they were coming off the goal line and doing all this 4-minute stuff. But first run of the day, Zeke goes off right tackle, and like nobody touched him until he was 20 yards downfield. And then the rest of the day, he looked like a gazelle trying to get away from a pack of lions. Like he's just surrounded by guys every time he touches the ball.
Well, they talk about wanting to run the ball. You better figure out what's going to happen with Schultz and Jarwin and those guys. We've seen down the field plays from those guys. And by the way, Keanu Neal, was in the non-padded practices, was awful in coverage. Actually, in the one-on-one stuff, did a much better job of knocking the ball loose and stuff. So that was encouraging. But, Mike McCarthy talks about surface. And when he's talking about surface blocking, it's man-on-man at that point of attack. And they've been losing some surface blocks in some of these drills.
You look at Keanu Neal when he walks by or see him just, up close, and you're like, what? How was he ever a safety?
Yeah.
Like in the 80s? Like,
right. When it was Steve Atwater back there.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I understand when you get told you're going to, be a linebacker, you probably build your body up a little bit different, but it can't be that much, that drastic. I mean, it's like, he was ever a safety. Like, that's, wow. I mean, box safety, of course, but, Barry Church was like the box safety. He doesn't look like that.
No, not at all. All right, we're going to take our first break. When we come back, in true Bryan Broaddus fashion, he came with a game. So we're gonna let Bryan take over the show and give us some questions he worked up in a little game. We'll do that when we come right back. This is DallasCowboys.com radio.
Nice.
Before there was a draft, you could size up a cowboy by 3 simple factors: the crease in his hat, the bend of his brim, and his unbending attitude. A man's Stetson didn't just protect him from what life threw at him, it projected a rugged, unstoppable spirit. Stetson hats are still American-made with pride right here in Texas. They're still the unofficial crown of all self-respecting cowboys, and Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find a retailer nearest you at stetson.com/cowboys.
The Cowboys way, where 16 Hall of Famers and 5 championships shows us what success looks like. Where turkey is always the second best part of Thanksgiving Day. Where we are all defined by one single thing, the star. Where we as fans know it's our job to keep the tradition going. Bank of America is proud to be the official bank of the Dallas Cowboys and to support the quest of living life the Cowboys way.
Copyright 2020, Bank of America Corporation.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now you can get the Jack Black Starter, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The starter includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/cowboys and use the code word TEAMJB. That's getjackblack.com/cowboys. The Jack Black Starter, $10, free shipping.
Honey, big news.
Gary, are you okay?
Oh, I'm not Gary anymore. I'm Jackie Flash.
What?
See, I want the latest smartphone, but the best deals are only for new customers. So, to get a new customer deal, I changed my name to Jackie Flash.
Okay, but the best smartphone deals at AT&T are for everyone, new and existing customers.
That's huge. Then guess who's getting a deal?
Is it Jackie Flash?
Jackie Flash.
It's not complicated. At AT&T, our best smartphone deals are for everyone. Restrictions apply. Visit att.com for details.
Back to the break.
Get on-demand Cowboys content on your home TV. Get the latest player interviews, video podcasts, documentaries, and so much more. Download now on your connected TV.
Welcome back to the... That was a quick one. Welcome back to the second segment of the break.
People on here now.
We are live from
wasting time.
Oxnard, California. It is day 9 of Training Camp 2021, presented by American Airlines. And Bryan brought a game. We were about to go on there. I went through all this hassle of putting together a rundown and sent it to everybody. And we get here, and Bryan whips out a game, and it's way better than my rundown. So I was like, Bryan, take over. Let's play your game.
Well, thank you, Derek. I appreciate that. I always love trying to put you guys – I want to take you off the fence. I want to make you have some opinions.
That's the essence of who you are.
I mean, people all morning have been like tweeting at me like, "Go get Hillman, go get him," kind of a thing. So we'll see how
this is going to be fun.
I'm ready.
All right, so to the group, I posed these questions, and here we go. Position group that's made the biggest jump in your eyes from the practices you've seen so far.
I'm going to be, all right, I mean, whatever. I'll regret these words later, but defensive tackle. Neville Gallimore looks great. Quentin Bohanna looks impressive. Oso Odigizua looks like he's coming on. It's hard for me to say I've seen it. Well, no, that's not even true. Brent Urban's batted some balls down.
Sure.
So yeah, just I don't know. I feel good about that right now, which I wasn't sure I would.
I will say, you mentioned it earlier, but cornerbacks, like, I did not come into this training camp feeling that great about what they had at cornerback. And I think so far, even guys I wasn't necessarily expecting anything from, like Kennedy, have shown up and have played really well. I would have loved to see them with Amari out there. That's just one more really great receiver that they would have to deal with. But all things being considered, I think this cornerback group has far exceeded any expectations I had for them.
Yeah, that's going to contradict what you say, but the wide receiver position, from the depth of it, I mean, we know it's top heavy, but with Amari being out, I think when you look at some of these receivers on the back end, I think it's going to be interesting to see how it shakes out with special teams. 17, Malik Turner.
Yeah.
I was really surprised he even got re-signed. He kind of got phased out of the team last year, and then all of a sudden, now he's back. He's playing well. It's going to be tough to keep Noah Brown at $2 million a year just for special teams and as a fifth receiver. But he's played pretty well too, and I know Dak likes throwing to him.
Has Micah Parsons been the best defensive player in camp?
No, but it's close.
Who's better?
Randy.
He's been good.
I think Micah, and he looks great. I've already started to eat some crow on that. Like, he looks fantastic. But I do think he still falls into that category of he's in a spot where it's a little bit easier for him to make splash plays from time to time when you factor in the rushing and some of the other fun stuff that they have him doing.
I think he's been the most impressive because of you think about the learning curve as a rookie.
That's a really good point.
But yeah, I mean, it's not like Randy's been out there a ton either in his 5 or 6 years. So this is great for both of them.
You guys know it. At training camp, you tend to take for granted the guys who have been here, and not to say Randy's just been here, but Randy, right? Parsons is something that's new. It's like what we were talking about earlier with Tyron Smith. Like, sometimes you kind of just take it for granted. Well, Tyron's doing what Tyron does, and you don't even think about how great he's been, but he's just doing what he does. So you don't put him in the same category as, say, a CeeDee Lamb, who's a little bit newer, right? And so I think it's that kind of thing. Like, Parsons is just newer, and so for me, he stood out more because he's newer. But if you really evaluate it, I kind of agree. It's Randy. Randy's been the guy that's probably been most impressive defensively.
You know what sucks about these games?
I don't get to answer.
You
Yes.
do get to. You just don't. Like that's the thing. Like, you're asking these questions, but we want to hear your answers too.
No, but because I say that because I do it in a way that I do believe he's been the best defensive player. So if
so if you ask it, that means you're kind of thinking.
Yeah.
That. Okay.
You can kind of pick up on what Brian's thinking based on his.
I'm just trying to get.
He's leading you down a path so he can slam you.
I'm playing Perry Mason with you here. I know the answer already as we speak. Okay. Guys, does Blake Jarwin need to be worrying about his starting job?
Apparently he does. Because
No.
said
Hell yes, because we've been talking about this. I've been a big proponent of the fact that I think Schultz is just as good, if not better. Just my opinion.
I just don't care because this isn't Jason Witten we're talking about. Like, neither one of them's going to play 99% of the snaps and never come off the field. Like, they're going to do some 12 personnel. They can rotate these guys. They'll probably both play north of 60% of the snaps or something. Oh, maybe not that high, but like they'll both have a healthy percentage. I don't care who's on the field for the first snap. I think they're both going to be very involved. That's not really an answer. I'm sorry. Whatever.
Well, I mean, but it makes sense. It's not like we're not talking about quarterback or center.
Right.
That
It's like
don't
the
rotate.
loser of this battle is not going to be on the bench all year.
Yeah.
They're both going to play a lot.
Yeah, I threw a lot of dirt on Dalton Schultz, by the way, to the point where he blocked me on Twitter.
I think we all did.
So yeah,
not that
Get
much.
blocked on Twitter.
You're a jerk.
by Dalton Schultz. Yeah, on the radio, I threw a lot of dirt on him,
Yeah.
and he had a great season last year for him.
He did.
Yeah.
And I think the question when I'm talking to people is just how much he could stretch the defense. Yes,
Right.
he's turning around. He's getting 8 and 10, 12 yards. That's great. First downs.
Right.
But can he extend the defense like Jarwin has? And so far, we've seen some of that. So if he does that, then, yeah, I think it is going to be a tough competition.
Okay, I was told this. If I told you when the lights come on, Demarcus Lawrence will be ready to go, how do you feel about that?
When you're saying Tampa,
Yeah.
Those lights.
if DeMarcus Lawrence doesn't get a game rep until Tampa, I don't care. It's fine with me. He looks fine out there. He looks like
He looks a lot slimmer.
He looks slim as hell. He looks like he's in good condition. He's back in a scheme that he's familiar with. Like, I mean, he knows what Dan Quinn wants from him. I mean, would you prefer him to get a little work? Of course, but if he's not going to do anything until Tampa Bay, I'm fine.
I'm fine with that too, but my preference would be go out there, do 3 or 4 pass rushes against Jacksonville, and get out of there and get ready for the season.
There aren't a lot of players on this team that I would feel great about them doing nothing until Tampa Bay. He's one of them. I don't worry about DeMarcus. But I'll throw this question back at you, Brian.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts of how, because this is something that's kind of a flashpoint for a lot of fans, how DeMarcus played last season?
See, I thought that, to me, when you start talking about complete defensive ends, don't we all focus on the sacks and things like that? We focus on the money. But and I'm not talking about look at Pro Football Focus's numbers and stuff like that. But if you watch how you play, how do you take on blocks? How do you get rid of blocks? How do you make plays, tackles behind the line? How do you get pressures? How do you run down a play from the backside? These are things that if you get Game Pass, you can watch your own eyes. You go back and you can watch him. And it's like, oh, he didn't get the sack, but he forced the guy to make a bad throw. I felt like that. I thought he played really, really, really well. But people are going to blast him because of the money and stuff like that. That's just the way it is. Oh, he didn't have 12.5 sacks, and all that. I no. It's the complete player that you're looking for right here. So, be honest with you, if he can complete play and Randy Gregory can have all the sacks, I'd be totally okay with that.
Oh, yeah.
I'd be totally okay with that.
Oh, yeah. That's a DeMarcus Lawrence, a DeMarcus Ware and Greg Ellis type combination, right?
Yeah.
It really would be.
I would like to see Lawrence get some work. I'm a little bit worried about the first game being outdoors in Tampa with the heat and humidity.
Sure. That's a good point,
and I worry about wearing down in that game and not being in game shape. That's my only concern about him not getting
Their quarterback is good.
Yeah.
Is he?
Yes, he is.
He is good.
Well, the thing that helps them is they're going to have 2 weeks back in Dallas, and hopefully, they spend a lot of that time outdoors, getting used to the humidity, getting used to the heat. Because out here, you're not getting that.
No, this is a perfect place to ever practice football. Right. Grass field, it's somewhat grass, and then the outdoors, the conditions and stuff like that. Okay, more impressive, Maurice Kennedy or Malik Turner?
Kennedy.
Kennedy.
Kennedy's really good. I mean, Turner's been, a good play. And they're both very similar. They're going to help you on special teams, but if they can show a little bit of their own position to show, that's not just a C.J. Goodwin, that they're not going to really play out there. But if he can play Kennedy, if he can play, so they're both good. But I go with Kennedy. He's actually stepping in as a starter in the slot, and he's getting a couple of picks.
Yep, he's getting his hands on the football. Which Malik Turner's gotten some run with the starters too because of the.
It was 4th and 2 in the practice the other day. They ran sprint right option with Dak, and who'd he throw the ball to on 4th and 2?
He didn't
throw it to CeeDee Lamb. He threw it to Turner on the out.
He looks for 17 a lot.
He does.
Like his first, probably his best throw of camp to date was like day one.
Yeah.
Down the far sideline and found Turner on like a crossing route.
Is Cedric Wilson safe to make this team? It feels like we kind of
Wow, that's not even. Derek thinks you're dumb for even asking.
Yes.
See, that's where I kind of with you on this.
He's not. He's not.
Follow
going
the money.
Anywhere.
Follow the money.
I would be more concerned about Noah Brown, though, right?
Noah Brown.
I would be more concerned about him than Cedric Wilson.
It depends on who Bones Fossil wants.
Right. That's true.
That's going to be.
But if you're following the money, Noah Brown's the guy you should be like. don't know. Is he going to
Did they tender? Is it $2 million tender for Wilson?
Like 2.1, I think, or maybe 1.9. Yeah,
it's something like that. But yeah, I to me, when we came out here, I was thinking, okay, do you carry 6 because scouts front office always likes to protect the draft. We see Simi makes a catch. Simi makes a catch.
Yeah.
Simi has it. I mean, Turner's done more things than Simi has. So now you're starting to think, okay, they keep 5 or they keep 6. You know.
All right, but then and the thing with Cedric is just he does so much. Like he's your 4th receiver.
He's 2 for 2 throwing the ball last year.
He sure was. Has a touchdown pass. He's 1A as a punt returner, and might even be, depending on the situation, they'd probably send him out ahead of CD if it was like a situation where they're not looking for a return.
Yeah, just catch it. Yeah.
He's currently one of your starting flyers on punt team. Like he's out there, so. They're expecting a lot of him, and just that versatility makes me think that he's probably safe. And look, no disrespect to Malik Turner, he looks great, but like, we do this every.
See, that's what I'm saying.
We do this every year.
The first thing I thought of was Lance Lenore. You know, I thought of Lance Lenore. Every receiver that's ever. But the thing about Turner, he started 3 games in the NFL in Seattle. I mean, he's made starts.
He's all the way back to Jamaica Rector.
You wouldn't pull one.
He could do that now. He could do that. He could go all the way back on you. Okay, would you be okay with Basham and Armstrong as your backup defensive ends?
I'm all right with that.
As of now, yeah, I think so.
What other choice do I have? I mean,
Bradley and I.
Yeah. He's been injured.
We're gonna get to Bradley and I.
Oh yeah.
Well, but you know, this coaching staff seems to have, and not only this coaching staff, even the last coaching staff. There's something about Dorrance Armstrong that they just kind of like, I think, and
coaching staff.
Yeah, coaching staff.
Higher up the chain.
Or Jerry Jones saying, "Hey,
it's the one name Jerry.
Let's say it all.
It's the one name Jerry can remember. Armstrong. You know, Armstrong's look good. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's a guy that they like a little bit. And honestly, I don't think he's disappointed on the field. I think he's played okay here.
I think watching him play, I'm more comfortable with that. I was always really pushing hard for Bradley and I wanted to see, because I've seen his tape at Utah. I know Dave's watched his tape at Utah and stuff. I had a lot of hope for him. I really, really did. But Armstrong has shown up. I mean, they've used him in a couple, whether it's right or left. I mean, they've run him on some twist games.
Mm-hmm.
He's able to get home.
He was out in coverage one day.
Yeah, he was exactly. I mean, so these guys, there's some comfort there. I mean, I've seen him go against Collins and actually have some good reps. So. Yeah, I'm more comfortable with Basham and Armstrong than I was, because I was searching who is going to be the backup defensive ends.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the answer to this, but there's an unhealthy dynamic between what we do with the draft show and when you come time for August, because you study the draft. Bradley and I is a hell of a player. Like, he was a Senior Bowl MVP. He was a big time player in a major conference. But you followed the 5th round for a reason. It reminds me of Jabril Cox, steal of the draft, played great at LSU, made this jump from North Dakota State. And then people get frustrated because they're like, well, you said he's amazing. Why isn't he out here doing stuff? I'm like, well, he's behind the 12th overall pick, the 18th, 19th overall pick from a few years ago, the $70 million man, and the Pro Bowler who came from Atlanta with Dan Quinn. Like, where do you want him to go? What do you want him to do?
He's playing against grown men.
Right.
Like,
and
it is, everybody here is good, right?
And I almost, you got to reset your expectations for the draft picks as soon as they're picked. You're like, we feel really good about this, but now you're here and it doesn't matter anymore. Mm-hmm. And that's why I say that, because and maybe Bradley and I will show something, especially, he didn't have a chance to get into preseason games last year. Maybe he'll get out there and just wreck shop, but I think the expectation of people who follow the draft versus the reality, they just don't match up right now.
Well, we talk about what a good pick it was. With Cox, you get a guy that can cover. We were worried about run defense. That was something coming into camp that I was going to keep my eye on. How could he play? Can he get off blocks? Can he shed? The problem I'm having with him, he's not even lining up on special teams.
No,
they're not putting him on the. He's a scout team cover guy. He's a scout team punt guy.
He's not being given a lot of opportunities.
Not at all. So.
But that doesn't make him a bad pick.
Not at all.
It's hard to adjust to the NFL.
No, but I was kind of hopeful that they would find a way to get him on the field.
Yeah, that hasn't happened yet.
Okay, speaking of getting on the field, of the guys without sponsors, that's my thing, right?
Yeah.
You have to have a sponsor to make these teams sometimes. Tristan Hill, Reggie Robinson, Bradley, and I, who's in the biggest trouble of the guys without sponsors?
Of the three that you just – well, Why don't they have sponsors? Just because the coaching staff I mean, Will and his guys are all still here.
Usually the coaches are the ones that'll step up. A scout will even tell you, the scouts will say, listen, it doesn't matter if we're here.
I think Tristan Hill has some sponsors. I do. I feel like I've heard his name a lot. That people try to tell me how great he played last year.
Well, he was a Marinelli guy. Remember that whole thing? Yeah.
I thought he played solid last year. He was coming on a little bit.
He looked like he was, the light was turning on a little bit.
But, I mean, he's going to be probably on PUP.
So, first of all, I agree with you. Just from being around, I think the interior perception of Tristan is different than the exterior perception. But, and this sucks for Tristan, but maybe he's in a situation where he won't be ready anyway, and so it's not even, maybe you stash him on a list when the season starts. He seems like he's still got some work to do before he's ready to play, so that might be.
Well, Robinson's the one guy that's played. Has Robinson shown you anything?
Yeah, that was the one I was going to say. That, to me, is I think that's the answer to your question.
Sure.
Because he's been out there, and I really haven't seen much good. There have been plays where I've seen him. He's the guy that's clapping after the play. But in a cornerback group where you got a lot of competition right now and a lot of guys who are making splash plays, he's not one of them. So I think right now, if I had to pick one of those three, I would say it would be him because I just haven't seen him do anything that a lot of other guys in this position are doing.
I think the same applies to Anai. And I agree with you about Reggie. I think the same applies to Anai for the same reason Brian just said. Like, I think Dorrance Armstrong and Terrell Basham are going to be on this team.
Right.
And obviously so are Randy and Tank. And now, so that's 4 right there. How many are you going to keep? Don't forget about Chauncey Golston. They're not cutting a 3rd-round pick. Right. I don't care what he does out here. They're not going to cut him.
Reggie Robinson, Bradley, and I, they've played as many preseason games as we have. So good point. You want them to kind of see that they haven't gotten that opportunity. They're going to. They're gonna get out there. So but how many for Robinson? How many special teams players can you keep that are kind of special teams? I think Goodwin's making it.
Right. Yeah.
Kennedy's probably making it too. And then Noah Brown on that side or Turner. So
it's such it's such a relief to know we have these games though. As last year, this is not a premature conversation last year because this is just all we have to go on. But to go back to Lance Lenore, he was the stud of camp for 2 years running, and then
until they put him in back there against the Rams trying to field punts.
Until they put him in a game, period. And so our opinions are going to drastically change from Canton, from Phoenix. And hopefully for the better, but maybe for the worse.
All it takes is one sack by Bradley and I.
Absolutely.
Just screaming off the edge, just bury some quarterback, and we'll be in here Monday and be like, so and I.
Yeah, you guys will be in here. I'll be somewhere else. Yeah,
he's on the team. Right.
Brad Sham brought up George Selvey the other day. He made the team because of what he did in the Hall of Fame game. I mean, that was 8 years ago, but that stuff matters.
Selvey.
All right, we are going to take our final break. When we come back, I want to get some opinions from you guys, particularly Brian, before you head out of training camp. We're going to go through the positions, and I'm going to have these guys give you a little bit of a position update, some things that they may have learned about the positions in the practices that have happened so far, or maybe some things that have kind of heightened their level of alertness to particular positions. We'll talk about that when we come right back. This is DallasCowboys.com radio.
Hi, I'm Clint Tillison with United Ag and Turf. Before you can park yourself in front of the game, park yourself in a John Deere and power through your chores. Our Land Run package is a 1025R, 25 horsepower tractor with a loader, rotary cutter, and a box blade for $229 a month. And the price you see is the price you'll pay, no surprises. So don't miss another kickoff.
Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com. Offer ends February 1st, 2021. Restrictions apply. See dealer for details.
Now let's get to work.
Honey, big news.
Gary, are you okay?
Oh, I'm not Gary anymore. I'm Jackie Flash.
What?
See, I want the latest smartphone, but the best deals are only for new customers. So, to get a new customer deal, I changed my name to Jackie Flash.
Okay, but the best smartphone deals at AT&T are for everyone, new and existing customers.
That's huge. Then guess who's getting a deal?
Is it Jackie Flash?
Jackie Flash.
It's not complicated. At AT&T, our best smartphone deals are for everyone. Restrictions apply. Visit att.com for details.
New Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. You deserve it.
I do deserve that.
You deserve decadent flavor without sugar and a day at the beach without sand getting everywhere. and a relaxing bath that your children don't interrupt.
I deserve all that?
It's really just a visual metaphor for Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. Everything you want, nothing you don't.
A visual metaphor on the radio. I do deserve that.
Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. The zero you deserve is finally here.
Before there was a draft, you could size up a cowboy by 3 simple factors: the crease in his hat, the bend of his brim, and his unbending attitude. A man's Stetson didn't just protect him from what life threw at him, it projected a rugged, unstoppable spirit. Stetson hats are still American-made with pride right here in Texas. They're still the unofficial crown of all self-respecting cowboys, and Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find a retailer nearest you at stetson.com/cowboys.
Back to the break.
Don't miss your chance to see the Cowboys at AT&T Stadium this season. A limited number of single-game, standing-room-only tickets are on sale now. Get yours today at DallasCowboys.com/tickets.
Welcome back. Final segment of the break, live from Oxnard, California. We're talking Cowboys football. We got our guy Bryan Broaddus here with us this morning. We are going to, here in the last segment, give you guys kind of a general overview of what these guys have seen, and we're going to break it down by positions. And really where I want you to focus here is I'm going to give you a position or a group, and I want you guys to tell me something you think you've learned about that group that you didn't know coming in, or something that you've kind of just noticed that's starting to pique your interest in a particular player or a position group. Let's start first with running backs and fullbacks. Brian, you up?
Yeah, I think the thing is that they're trying to find ways to incorporate more of Tony Pollard onto the field, and I think that's a good thing. And it's not something that happens all the time, but it's just not the normal, okay, go in there and spell Zeke. It's like Zeke on the field, Pollard, whether it's split, slot, backfield. They're trying to find ways. This team's done a really good job. I felt like the screen passes that they've run, they've been able to kind of shake him loose and Zeke loose a couple of different times. This coach has a history of playing with a fullback, which is interesting. You know, he doesn't have a John Kuhn or somebody like that here that he's had in the past. But I'm interested to see if, in fact, they do try and carry one or find one to bring in. But I do like what I've seen with the 2 running backs and how they've been able to incorporate both those guys.
McCarthy actually had a really interesting quote yesterday. He was asked about keeping a fullback, and he talked a lot about how much more they want to run a 2-back offense this year. And he was talking about it in the context of having a fullback, but I was just thinking about Pollard the whole time he was talking, because I think that's one of the most important challenges for this coaching staff this year, is to find ways to have him be a bigger part of this thing, because he needs to be. And I know Zeke's going to be the bell cow, and he should be. I'm looking at Pollard's snap counts from last year, and other than the game that Zeke didn't play, it hovered between like 22 and 33%, and that's not enough. That's got to be more. And so I think that's like line one for Kellen Moore, honestly. Because Amari and Lamb and Gal, all those guys are going to be out there, but you got to find a way to use that more often.
You got 9 guys that are going to be out there a lot. The five linemen: Dak, Zeke, and then I would say CD and Cooper. So that's 9. What do they do with those other spots? What are they going to do with? Is it 2 tight ends? Is it 1 tight end and Gallup? Is it Gallup and Pollard? Is it a fullback? That's the key. Schultz in that mix too. So I don't know if that really answers your question, but I do think that's going to be the key. Is where do they feel like they could run the ball the most, or just move the offense? He said he wants 30 plus rushes a game. Well, that's really on Kellen Moore in this offense. They've struggled out of the gate. The best way to get a lead is to score in the first half. When you struggle early, then you're always playing and scrambling from behind. So I think preparation from Wednesday to Saturday needs to be better. That starts with Kellen Moore. That starts with the offense. They've got to be better to get leads early in the game so they can run the ball.
Yeah, going to your point about who they're going to put out there, I think it's going to vary by the game. They talked a lot about there in that opening press conference. They want to play matchup football. And so every week they want to be able to go in and say, where can we get our best matchup? So there may be some weeks where 12 personnel is their great matchup for that week. There are other weeks that they can use Tony Pollard a lot. So I think it'll vary from week to week, and you'll see a different guy kind of stepping into an X factor role, if you want to put it like that, each week.
Oh, I hope you're right. I hope you're right. I hope it changes every week, and it's not just we do what we do.
Well, that's the way they're talking. We'll see if it actually turns out like that. All right, let's move on to the wide receiver. I'm going to say wide receiver / tight end. Give me something that you've either noticed or something that you think you've learned about that position group. Nick, let's start with you.
I mentioned receivers earlier as a spot that I thought that they've got some depth. They're going to have some good decisions to make. We know in the preseason game somebody's going to catch our eye a little bit more. I'm anxious to see some of those guys at the back end. They're going to get to play. Mitchell, Osiris Mitchell, 14. 80, Brandon Smith. I'd like to just see those guys. I think they've got something, as Dave will point out, and he's not wrong. We see this every year. There's always going to be a guy or two like that. But I am anxious to see, because they went with a theme when they signed these free agents. It's like you played basketball at some point in your life. You can definitely dunk and alley-oop. They got big, tall, strong guys, and so that's the targets they're looking for. Let's see how they play in games.
Brian.
Yeah, I think I'm going to focus on the tight end aspect. They've got 3 guys, I think, that are all downfield players, and including McKeon in there. Who is going to be the blocker of this group? If there is a commitment to trying to run the football and trying to have that surface I'm talking about and trying to be point of attack. Yeah, exactly. Sprinkle.
Yeah. He has not looked good.
See, that's what I'm saying. That's
relative to those other two.
Who is that guy? I think they've got guys that are catchers. I don't think they have any blockers. And so, they got in 13 personnel yesterday, put 3 tight ends out there and still got knocked back. You can't have that. And so if there's a commitment there, either they're going to have to work the waiver wire, claim a guy, whatever. But, man, they do not have any blockers currently on this team that play tight end.
There's an answer there. Just don't run 13 personnel. It sucks. It's bad. It's the worst personnel grouping in football. So don't do it. I'm going to give some love to the Michigan man. How about Sean McCune? And Schultz and Jarwin have looked good, but so is he. He made the catch of the day yesterday, one-handed diving catch. They use him a lot. The Dak waggle roll out and just kind of chuck it to the tight end coming across the flat.
Slow block the edge, and
he's been doing a lot of that.
Yeah.
He made the team as an undrafted free agent last year. I think he's going to make it again, which I guess I didn't think was a given when I got here, but he sure looks like he belongs on the roster to me.
Now, 13 personnel, it pisses me off when they do that, because they just put the tight ends in there. It's like, okay.
It's like you're like, yeah, let's get in a phone booth.
I don't watch
play
UFC.
in a phone booth.
You guys watch UFC a lot?
No, not really.
I don't really watch it that much either, but I know this.
But I'm going to make a point and say I watch it. Yeah.
No, I've seen it enough to know you got strikers, you got guys that get on the mat and wrestle. If that's not your thing, if you're not really a good wrestler, then don't get on the mat, because somebody's going to beat you. And that's what they do. They say, we're going to bunch everything in and go big on big. But guess what? Our 3 tight ends are Schultz, McEwen, and Jarwin, and they're not big.
Yeah.
So they get pushed back.
Yeah.
Why don't we spread them out and go, I could lob it up to CD. We all seen the video what CD can do. Yeah. Cooper can do this. We can spread it out, or we can run our quarterback up the middle.
Yeah, to your point, though, Nick, if you're going to put a tight end out there that can't block, go ahead and put Pollard out there.
Right.
And open it up that way.
This team should be, make the defense go small. Yeah. Stop. Enough of this. It drives me crazy that NFL teams refuse to run 10 personnel, honestly. Get 4 receivers out there, make the defense go tiny to handle all of them, then give the ball to Zeke and watch him bulldoze the cornerbacks that are trying to tackle him. I don't know. This doesn't seem complicated to me.
Especially if you guys
says Tiny Jim. Yeah.
Says Tiny Jim. Exactly. You heard it here first.
All right, let's move on. Offensive line. Dave.
Oh, shoot. Offensive line.
They're the guys in front.
Thank you.
5
yes.
guys
Yeah.
in front.
I was bullish on the tackles being healthy all year, so I feel good that they are. I know Tyron's sitting out right now, but I don't care about that yet being the operative word.
That's true.
I guess just me and Nick both have been beating the drum all spring of why don't they have any other centers? What the hell's going on? And so it's been interesting to watch Connor cross-train there. I know Brian's trying to fire Broaddus already, a week into camp. He wants Connor playing center. I'm not ready to go there yet, but I do think, he looks natural at it for a guy that had never done it until maybe 2 months ago. So I'm not ready to say that's a position battle, but I feel like by the time we get to the season, I feel like it's nice to know he can do that.
I'm kind of waiting for all 5 of these offensive linemen to play together. Have we had a practice where I know initially the
first 2 or 3,
and then all of a sudden it became Veteran Day, and then
not a
exactly. It was all
Zach's doing his thing.
Exactly.
Tyron's got an elbow.
But I will say this: I think they're in the same spot they were last year as far as those backups. If they have to play with those guys, they're in trouble. I'm just going to be honest with you here. I don't think Tight and Sicky can play as a swing tackle. I really don't. I think he's too slow-footed. And that's where it's going to happen. Maybe it's going to be, we're going to have to kick Zach Martin over, or, we're going to have to kick Connor Williams out, or, we're going to have to do something else. But, man, they talk about the whole thing with Steele and the weight room and improvement. You could have fooled me, really. You could have fooled me, and But that's I was expecting that him and Knight, an off season. Hey, we're not closing down the weight room anymore. Well, get in there, And maybe they have. They keep talking about they got in there, and then you watch. It's not translating all the little awards that we're getting for being strongman in the weight room is not translating to how we're playing on the practice field right now.
I don't disagree with that.
About to tell you how I thought Steele looks pretty good. Actually, on the right side.
Yeah.
No, I saw a couple plays, but I just feel like, man, I'm excited about that they actually kept playing them. It's one of those things that we didn't like it necessarily at the time, but because they did, and it got him a high draft pick, not just because of him, but they kept playing that that mindset, and they lost games. They got a high draft pick, and they got Parsons and all that stuff. And now you're sitting with a guy that may be a swing tackle, and he's got 15 games under his belt. We'll see what he does in the preseason. But he was a guy that played okay at times, but when he had bad moments, like Dak got hurt and got hit and fumbled, or they lost the game against the Rams, or they had a fumble changed the game against the Browns. So you can't have those.
I'm going to do my Broaddus impression real quick. I'll ask you a question. Has Steele played on the left side at all at this camp?
I have not seen him on the left side,
which is interesting, and neither have I.
Swingy.
No, I haven't either.
It's not very swingy, is it?
And they've also, and what they've done is they've also kicked Knight in playing more guard.
Yeah.
They think if you
I've seen a lot of that.
you talk to the guys in the front office, they think Knight's a better guard. But O'Diggy, the 2 sacks he's had have been against Knight on the swim move right to the middle of the pocket. So I just feel like they're kind of in the same shape.
Where's McGovern in all this?
Well, and I was kind of had some hope about Ball. I had some hope about Ball, and I haven't seen anything from Ball that makes me. But he's going to play in all these preseason games. He's going to get a letter jacket playing this preseason.
God, you're such a jerk. I do think
he is.
I do think McGovern. I think McGovern's looked pretty good out there.
I think McGovern has looked fine.
Yeah.
I don't have. I'm trying to say if they have to play with one of these tackles.
I hear you.
But Lyle Collins has had some problems too now in a way that I'm like, is it rust? He looks lighter. He's moving, but man, give the defensive ends some credit for the way they've kind of come after these guys.
Yep. Defensive line, Nick.
A lot of questions there at the tackle position. They just got a lot of numbers we didn't know going in. We've kept our eye on Bohanna. You have Bohanna going to Canton next week and staying in Canton.
They're going to make his bus next weekend, from what I understand.
But I have
scouts agree with you, by the way.
I'm
They're
just saying.
I think Dan Quinn said when they drafted him, he's going to play right here and maybe right here. Just right over the center. I don't think that's been the case.
No.
I think they've been able to move him like a tackle a little
because
bit.
he moves really well for
one of those screens I was talking about that they've been running pretty well. It's like they went full flow to his right, and they tried to sneak Zeke the other way, and he's like, gets rid of Broaddus and goes and gets Zeke in the backfield right there. And that's
to be fair to Dan Quinn, I think our man has lost like 35 pounds since draft night.
So on tape, you don't see on tape this guy. You see a 350-pound guy going up and dominating Vanderbilt's middle of the line, but or because that's where he did. Like all his highlights. Well, he wasn't just going back there against Alabama and whatever. I mean, he
got Jamin Davis, who the football team took in the first round. That linebacker from Kentucky is really good. I mean, he got him drafted because he was able to free run and make a lot of plays.
Joseph, maybe.
And the corner, the cornerbacks have looked fine, and they've gotten their hands on a lot of balls. Like, I'm not ready to make this leap that I think that they look amazing yet. But
are we talking about cornerbacks? Or are we talking about defensive line?
Well, I'm bringing it back to the first segment when Derek said the cornerbacks.
I thought you were just kind of taking a show like I would.
But I'm so I've seen I've seen basically everybody along that front do something encouraging. Bohanna looks. amazing might be a stretch, but Bohanna looks really good.
He's going to be a starter.
No, he's not, because if you're just looking,
where's your boy Urban? That's what I want to know. Where's your boy Urban?
I'll comment about that.
He hasn't. He's made some plays, but I will say it's honestly the guy that we all wrote off the minute he got here. That's been doing most of that is Carlos Watkins.
Yeah.
Right.
Everybody was
Shout out
like,
to the
well, this bum from Houston, he'll get cut, and he's the starting one tech right now.
The pro guys had a bad year last year. The year before, they did a great job with the Quinn trade and all that, made that work. They had a bad evaluation period last year. All those defensive linemen they brought in were all busts, And so, if they can with Basham, Urban, those guys. I mean, I'm still waiting. I thought when the pads came on that Urban would be more. He's knocked down a couple passes and stuff like that. But I thought he would be more of a powerful guy. But it has been. I'll tell you, Neville Gallimore has been a guy that all of a sudden you talk about a guy that the light bulb has kind of come on.
Mm-hmm.
For him, the body looks good, the mobility looks good, the way he's getting up the field, he's been hard to block. He gets guys on their heels.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's been a real positive sign there.
It makes me nervous because he wears the same number as Malik. And I'm not.
Oh no, I have that. I have visions of Malik. I have visions of Malik Collins like kind of going well against Frederick, and then going well against Martin, and then you learn that Frederick is not all there, kind of a thing.
Right.
And so that part of it's tough.
Every year I came out here and thought Malik was about to be a Pro Bowler, but that's how that Neville looks freaking awesome. I hope it actually translates for him.
Linebacker, our favorite position.
Mike is a stud. We were both down on the pick. I think me and Brian both probably would have taken Rashawn Slater.
Yeah.
Is it? I agree.
Positional
with you.
value.
I would have taken Rashawn Slater, but I wasn't down on the pick because I thought he could be a good player. Do you guys agree with that?
Well, I like Slater, and then Bolton was available. The Missouri linebacker was available in that second round, and I was kind of thinking, wow, you could have got that guy, and then a shorter linebacker that could tackle and run.
Yeah,
that seemed like to me that was a kind of a Dan Quinn fit.
Mr. 4'7" from Missouri can't do what Mike is doing out here.
There's no question.
No doubt.
He's making me look bad for not being
I thought
more.
He was a super talented guy, but I'm just like, is this too high for an off-ball linebacker? But that's what makes him so exciting is he's not an off-ball linebacker. He's doing a lot of other stuff too.
Versatile. Yeah.
His GPS stuff is off the charts. I'm sure when they go back and they're like, okay, who's got the highest movement and all that? It's him. Every day, there's corners that run a lot and receivers that run a lot. I guarantee his is right almost off the charts.
And the funny thing, too, I was talking about this at practice with somebody yesterday. All these guys are huge and impressive and incredibly good athletes, but, he doesn't look like Superman. Leighton and Jalen look like action figures. They're like, we say this all the time. If Jalen's first guy off the bus, especially when he's in uniform with the chrome visor and the sweatpants, he's first guy off the bus. Micah doesn't look that physically impressive compared to those guys, but he sure as hell moves impressive, way more impressive than anybody else. And it makes me wonder, put this dude in a weight program next year.
Nick, you said that. Imagine what he's going to look like this time next year.
He's going to show up looking terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you did say that a couple shows
Well,
ago.
I tell you, one time I was watching the one-on-one pass rusher 2 versus 2, and he dropped down and took a rep as a defensive tackle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I went, what?
He's
okay.
blitzing the A-gap. He's
Okay.
rushing around the
Yeah.
end. He's impressive. Very impressive.
Nick, linebacker?
I haven't seen Jalen Smith make a play. I haven't. You guys have maybe seen more plays. I haven't seen him really go out and go, wow, okay, that was a good play. I see him in coverage a little bit. I see him high-fiving people. I see him kind of there.
Right.
But I don't necessarily see the play, And now I get it. He is a physical player when he wants to be. When he wants to go downhill and hit people, he can, and we haven't got to see that. So, you might see a little bit more physicality, and I think Dan Quinn's going to get him in position. But, I'm trying to talk good about him. I think we kind of decided, hey, let's just let things play out. We don't need to trash this guy.
Kill him every day.
But he's just not making a lot of plays. He's not. And he doesn't help himself with some of the things he says. It's just it's tough. You want to kind of look for the good stuff, and I just haven't really seen any.
Yeah.
I think Nick's on to something. I think Dan Quinn's going to figure out he's going to be part of what they're doing. But what happens when you watch him play, especially in coverage, he immediately has to grab. he immediately has to tackle to slow the receiver up so he can put himself in position. I think they're going to look at that in tape. They're going to say, okay, we can't put him on the field in coverage situations. I think when it talks about down and distance stuff, that he probably won't be on the field very much. I think there'll be some things they have him in the rotation, but overall I think they're saying, hey, a little bit of a liability in coverage. We need to keep Parsons on the field. We need to keep Van Der Esch. Those guys have been outstanding as we talk about all-around players, both those guys.
1st and 10, though. 1st and 10 the first time the Bucs take the field. Will he be on the field?
I think
I don't care if he comes off immediately after.
Well, it depends on if the Bucs go 11 personnel and try and spread you out, kind of a thing.
Which they will.
No, I need them to go heavy and give it to Leonard.
If they go heavy, then yeah, he'll be on the field.
There's a little bit going on here.
We got dinner writing on
this. It's not going to matter because
good place to eat in Tampa, by the way.
Because NBC, when they are on the field, and even if it'll probably be a 2nd or 3rd down there, let's look at that Cowboys defense, and he's going to be like smooth Notre Dame, whatever, and it's gonna.
That's a good point. Yeah, he just needs to have the little star next to his name on Pro Football Reference when the game's over.
As the starter.
That's all.
That's all you. It doesn't matter if he gets 3 snaps.
He could play 1 as long as it's the first one.
Okay. All right, fair enough. Let's go on real quick.
No, keep going.
Real quick, before we end the show, let's get to secondary. Give me something you've noticed about the secondary, or something you've learned about the secondary.
I mean, he is now in a battle with Malik Hooker, and maybe they brought him in because they're not impressed on tape. Tape and what we see at field level is totally different. But I'm amazed by DeMonte Casey just being out there again. Like we said that in the spring, just being as ready to go as he is, and it doesn't seem like he's on a veteran schedule. He's not taking off days. He's doing everything. And by the way, he's making plays. He picked 6 Dak the other day. He had another pick against Gilbert yesterday. And it's fun because we get to watch from the end zone, and you can kind of watch. If you go back and watch these videos we take from practice, you can see Casey identify what's going on, make the read, step in front of the ball. So that's exciting. I had no expectations for that guy whatsoever. I think they gave him $100,000 guaranteed. That's nothing. Yeah. That is... We don't, let's give it a shot, and if it doesn't work out, nobody cares. But, he looks good out there, and I didn't think that might be the case.
I think when you look at cornerback, it's the one position that you can say, and it goes pretty deep, but you can say these guys will be on the 53 if they're healthy, 1 to 7. I think it's pretty easy to go 7 corners. Now, I know they're going to be kind of special teams guys, but Anthony Brown, Jordan Lewis, and Diggs. And then you've got the 2 draft picks. And I think they're both going to make it with Joseph and Deshaun Wright. And then Kennedy and C.J. Goodwin are corners, but they're also going to be special teams guys. Kennedy's showing he can be more than that.
Mm-hmm. What about a guy like Deontay Burton? He's been out there a lot. They've been playing him a lot.
I know.
He made plays in the OTAs and mini camps. I haven't noticed him as much in these practices and stuff like that. I think you guys are on to something about the 7. That means you're going to have to go light somewhere else. Yeah. Can you go light at linebacker? Can you go light at defensive line? Can you go light? You're going to probably light at quarterback. They'll probably keep 2. But if you're going to keep that extra special teams, Bonus Fossil is going to get his 3 core special teams guys to go along with the 3 guys that he's got already, the snapper, the kicker, and the punter. Yeah, you're going to have to find another spot for someone to take to be able to get one of those guys on.
Breaking, the secondary gives me anxiety, just trying to figure out what to do with that.
But that's a good
playing
problem
better
to have, though, right?
They have been playing better. Yeah. I was thinking that, and I talked about the safety being a mess position. Even Thompson had an interception there and an overthrow.
He did.
So I'm anxious to see Hooker because I think Hooker and Wilson. What I know about Malik Hooker playing in college, and I'm praying that comes back to that guy. That's a guy that plays with range. He was one of the best defensive players I scouted in that draft. I'm hoping his health is okay and he can play with that range, play in the middle, play off the hash, help some in coverage, walk down and cover in the slot if he has to. Those are all things you need him to do.
Talk about wearing that 28, maybe. That's maybe.
Ooh, actually, this is a conversation. Go ahead.
I did have a conversation a little bit with Darren.
Yeah.
As I texted him, and he 5 days later responded, but I texted him the picture of 28, and I was like, I'm not okay with this.
Nobody is.
He finally he texted me back, and he was like, it's typical Darren Woodson. Only cares about really one thing.
Yeah.
He's like, haha, can he play?
Yeah.
Right.
That's it. I don't care.
Right.
He can wear my number.
You can wear the number, but can you play?
He play.
Right.
Yep.
Hey, time will tell. Yeah, he needs to stay healthy, but like he is capable of living up to it.
Absolutely.
Which is they've been giving that number out to scrubs for the last few years. At least Malik Hooker's got some pedigree.
He sure does.
True.
Wait, so real quick, I know we got to end the show. Do you? I was talking about this with somebody yesterday. Do you think Casey and Hooker can both make this team? Doesn't that seem kind of redundant to you?
Yeah, well, I mean, if KZ, but it's funny to me because KZ's so small, but he could probably be a better, maybe a cover guy or something. But I don't think so.
They're both going to be the free. They can't play strong. They're not going to play a ton of special teams.
The reason why I think KZ looks so good is because he knows what Dan Quinn's going to call. When Dan Quinn makes a call, he totally understands. Everybody else has to think. He doesn't have to think.
But I also think you got to remember, Dave, like the reason why Hooker's out there is because injuries have been an issue for him.
Sure.
So if you do, I think if this team is, I don't think they can be short-sighted and say, well, if Hooker looks good, we're good.
Yeah.
I think they got to say we got to make sure we got as good a quality as we can get as a backup.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm not trying to hand the job to anybody. I just think we just had this conversation about you don't know where these roster spots are going to come from. And they're kind of the same player, it's specialized. Like you're not going to get a ton of special team snaps out of them. They're not going to play strong.
It's not going to cost
bring up
them.
KZ's play against Zeke all the time.
Yeah.
Like he's not going to play strong.
Yeah.
So
it's not going to hurt them to cut KZ if they have to money wise.
Sure.
Yeah.
They might have to play Wilson on special teams a little bit more. You know, he's kind of a starter, but I think he can play it. He can do that.
Yeah. All right.
I do want to ask one thing before we get going here.
We got 2 hours.
I got to get going myself.
I wonder just, Brian, I don't think we really mentioned it when we start the show. Just kind of tell the fans kind of where you are now, what you're doing, and where they can find you.
Yeah, I'm at 105.3 The Fan, and we're the radio partner with the team. So really fortunate that way to get to come around and do stuff. Really excited about working with Brad Chamtu doing the preseason games as well. I'll be on with the Arizona.
Excited about that, yeah.
The Houston-Jacksonville games. Babe and Brad had the call. But, yeah, you can listen to us. I'm on 2 to 7 Central every day. We have an app called the Odyssey app. We're owned by Odyssey. And you can go back. If you want to come back and listen to us, we did 3 live mics. We were on the field. We were doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But we're the official station of the Cowboys, so give us a listen.
And the show is
G-Bag Nation, 2 to 7 every day. Yeah.
Really good show.
Thank you.
And we appreciate you joining us, Brian.
Thank you for having me back,
It's
guys.
always good to have you come
doing
through,
that.
and maybe we'll do it sometime later this year. We'll get
Sounds
you back
good.
on.
I will do that.
And good luck to Bennett Broaddus. He's been running around the camps here for years. He's going to be a starting quarterback.
Here we go.
We'll see how it all goes.
Here we go.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, guys. Appreciate you joining us. We'll be back on Sunday. Till then, for Nick Eatman, Dave Hellman, Bryan Broaddus, I'm Derek Eagleton. This has been The Break, live on DallasCowboys.com radio.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!